Okay, so back with another live call example with our non-fungible frameworks. And this time we're looking at frame itself, the unspoken or very spoken agenda and posture, the place and the positioning that you have as well as your prospect has. Now, there are a couple of frames to keep in mind that are rather intuitive in feeling where you're at throughout the conversation. So there's a number of names that I can give these, but the one that I'll share with you right now is being mindful of the greater than, equal to, or less than frame as you go through the rest of the sales conversation. So if you're an authority figure in the space, if you're an expert, then the way that you present yourself is oftentimes in a greater than. You have the solutions and the answers to the problem your prospect wants, and your prospect will show up to the call depending on their sophistication level, their ego, and just what's happened to them previously, and especially as the conversation goes along, they will either remain in this less than, or they will feel that they're on your level at some point in some way. And if you ever slip into, for any extended period of time, the less than frame yourself, where your prospect feels like they know more than you or they're the expert in the matter, then typically they won't have a lot of buying confidence. They'll ask to speak to someone else, whether it's a referral, testimonial, another salesperson. The business owner in this case actually is the situation. So we have a greater than frame on our side. And the frame itself, as I shared with you in the previous module, for frame, is about setting an agenda, setting expectations, setting outcomes, and getting permission for them to basically follow your lead. Now, what I'll look for here is no matter how simple or complex or in your face the frame and the agenda is it effective? Is our prospect willing to follow our lead? Now, this call that I'm about to share with you is a shorter follow-up call with the business owner and a prospect after they've already spoken to a salesperson. And so the business owner is going to perform a very, very simple frame, and we'll see how effective it is. I haven't actually rated this one in my opinion, so I'll give you my rating at the end of this one, and we'll see what notes we have. So let's get into it.
And yeah, man, looking forward to chat. Zephyr tells me you feel good and you want to just have a quick chat with me, and I'm at your service.
Yeah, awesome. Okay.
So that really was it. Zephyr tells me that you had a good chat and that we can help you. I'm looking forward to it. So be it that the business owner is in a drastically greater than frame, he's able to just lay it out very simply, get down to business and not waste any time. There doesn't need to be any grandiose song or dance. And so for those of you who have been in high ticket sales for very long, quite a number of years, you're an expert in your selling environment, this is something that you can have at your disposal. So clearly, you're here to chat about your consulting business. I see your application here. Looks like we've got some opportunity where we can help. Excited to chat with you. Sound good? We'll have a few questions for you. You'll need to, in a first call rather, in this environment where it's a little bit colder and there's not a lot of rapport built, you'll need to go into a little bit more detail. But I wanted to show you this because I thought it was a really interesting example how simple framing can be. And you can use this at the next catch up with one of your old friends if you're having coffee. You can use this on the phone with one of your relatives when you're not looking to have an hour-long tirade of what's been happening in their life and what's going on with their dog. And you certainly will want to use this in your meetings as well as your high-ticket sales calls. So let's hear how effective the frame is by listening to a little bit of the opening story from the prospect. And you know that you framed expectations and agenda well when your prospect basically starts to give you what you're looking for. So let's take a listen and hear how that goes.
Cool. Well, maybe I can give you the 2-minute spiel on sort of where I'm at with things. So, all of your marketing definitely kind of hits the nail on the head for where I'm at. Been working through my network. It's been going pretty well. I've had my best year yet this year. I've been at it for about 10 years or so. But I don't have a system. It's not dependable. And I will say that one of the challenges that I've had is niching down. Because it seems like every time I niche, I'm like, I get someone else kind of coming in and saying, oh, well, do you do this? And I'm like, well, yeah, I do that. And they're like, well, but your marketing doesn't say you do that. It says you do something different. And so anyway, it just always seems to be a bit of a moving target.
So it's fair to say that the prospect is in a place where they're open to our help. He's very receptive to our marketing content, and he sees that if you can do it, you could probably teach me to do it. And if you explicitly what's very clear in your marketing message and content is that easy to read, then surely you can help me create the same in mine. So he's got this sort of obscurity around his offer, his messaging, and his scope of what he does for his clients. And so that's showing up on his sales calls or in his meetings, and certainly in his inbox. So the simple frame that the business owner used, that so-and-so said you had a good chat, seemed like a good fit, so I'm at your service, let's talk, right? And because of the fact that the business owner doesn't take the sales calls on the front end, has a team to do that, and the business owner the salesperson previously probably had at least an hour-long conversation with this man, that the simple fact that this call is happening indicates that we need to get right down to business. So you can use a frame like this on one of your follow-up calls, or if you've previously seen from your prospect's application, or maybe even a written exchange you've had with them before jumping on a phone call, that there's a clear fit there. So a very simple frame. I would give this one probably a 4 just because of the context of it. Now, if this were a first call, you would hear a much different frame from the business owner. And so I might add a second version of framing as I'm going through these, and we hear a more verbose example of a first meeting. So that's it for now. Next, we'll dive into the discovery aspect itself and how to really drill down on bottlenecks and constraints and problems that we can solve, of course. So I'll see you on the next one.